Hello, everyone, and welcome to the observation deck. I am Annie Peterson Kalatkar, and with me today is Captain Kim Boxer from Breezo Marine in Fort Lauderdale. Hey, welcome. How are you?
Welcome. Nice to be here, Annie. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, a pleasure. And I absolutely love that fish tank behind you.
I love it too.
Nice touch. Is that your dog? What's your dog's name?
It is. Hopefully she'll calm down here in a minute or I'll put her in the room.
Okay, well, you can even just bring her up onto your lap and
I'll show her at some point. Her name is Teak.
Teak.
Named after the wood.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, my son will love to hear that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me share with people that you are a yacht captain, and this is the first time we've actually had a yacht captain on board this podcast series, which is fantastic because we are all about the adventures of Yacht Boy and the series of books that's going to follow Shakedown Cruise, my first book. And we have so many questions for you today because we know our readers are going to love to hear from a real captain. So why don't we just start with your personal story about how you got into boating? Because everyone has their first boating experience. Would you care to share how you got your feet wet?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's a long story. I'll try and make it as short as possible, but not exclude the important things. But basically, my parents lived on a sailboat for 15 years, and a lot of it was in the Turks and Caicos in the 70s, 80s. And, it's in my blood, first off. I grew up in Boca Raton, which is on the coast, on the east coast of Florida. And basically, growing up, I had it in my blood. And I always, me and my friends, I got into fishing. Fishing was big to me. I started fishing in the lakes. We have a lot of good lake fishing and Everglades around where I lived. So I started fishing, started really falling in love with the sport, just with the nature and the mix of everything. The water, it hits me hard. I love it. So then basically from there, I started, a lot of my friends had small boats, 10, 15 foot boats. We would start fishing in the intercoastals, and then as we got older, we started to get bigger boats, and we would go venture offshore and do reef fishing and start, doing deep sea fishing. And that's kind of where I got a big passion for boating itself. It was just all private recreational at the time. I was young, in high school, went to college I started working at a bank in life insurance when I was young. In high school, throughout college, I went to UCF in Orlando for college. Went for business management. Loved it. I'm all about business. And then basically after college, I got out, moved back to Boca. Was living with my mom still at the time, and I started a first day back at what I was used to, back in the office, wearing a suit, excited. Halfway through the day, I said to myself, is this really my passion? Is this something I want to be stuck with for forever? Halfway through the day, I told the guy who was training me, he was putting his heart into me, and I said, you know what? Just stop here. I'm done. So I went home and I told my family, and everyone thought I was a little crazy. I gave up a lot of money. I had a very good position. And I said to myself, for the next few weeks, I'm going to figure out something that I'm passionate about. And
I love it.
The first part of the story I told was the passion. I realized that I was passionate about boating. Boating, it was in my blood. I'm passionate about it. And I started just doing some researching on the industry itself, which I really didn't know much about at the time. And I ended up reaching out to the corporate captain of the time for a company called Allied Marine Ferretti Group, which is a very large company even today. And he offered me a position as a mate. And I said to him, I'm not ready for that. I appreciate that, but I'm not ready for that, because I looked up what a mate was and I said, I didn't have that experience. So I said,
and a lot of responsibility.
It is. And I felt honored that he offered that, but I asked him for a position. I wanted to start from the bottom up. In business, I think it's extremely important in any industry you have. to start from the bottom and learn. Really, I asked him. I wanted a job with a toothbrush. I didn't know much about boats, and I realized that Fort Lauderdale was the yachting capital of the world, and that's where this position was. So I started from the ground up. I started learning about the bilges and everything hidden. The big boat looks incredible, but what about the under pieces, the engineering, the learning about what to clean, what to maintain? All of that was more important than just starting to be a mate, because I wasn't ready. I didn't know how to tie the lines properly on a big boat, the fenders, so that's where I started.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm so happy to hear that there are people like you in the world that say, "Ah, this is not my passion and I got to stop and I need to go do my thing." I am so happy to hear you express that, because so many young people feel pressured to go into careers that are not a fit for them. And the observation deck is absolutely 100% about sharing with young adults who are curious, is there a marine opportunity for me? And you just brought forward some really great material here, because if there, there's this inner struggle. Do I want to be out in nature, or can I survive in a box, which is an office? And a lot of people get into that box and they're like, oh my God, I miss the sun. I miss the wind. I miss the water. I miss the trees or the rocks and the hills. I got to either be hiking a mountain or I got to be out on the water. And you honored that inner call. And that is truly what lays those foundational steps for our inner happiness. And when we listen to our inner guidance like that, and we value it and we trust it, then we're able to take those steps as a leader to ourselves. So thank you. I mean, I actually was smiling so hard. I had tears coming out of this eye. I was like, yes.
You got to think with the most important backstory to that is when you think about everything is a business in life, right? Even if you're making jewelry, it's a business. Everything is a business. So in the end, I believe that if you're passionate and your true passion will show one day, and you got to be passionate about what you're doing. Sitting in a bank, to me, making good money, wearing a suit every day, it just wasn't something that the true passion was going to show every day. And that's what to this day, I still am so thankful that I made that decision.
Yeah.
To go with way less money at the time, but now where I'm at now, and we could discuss later where I'm at now down the road, but it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Okay, so now go back to this. I have this image of you. You're in your young 20s and you have a toothbrush and you're like there to clean something, right? The bilge, brass, woodwork, the water line. What is it?
Oh, it's everything. It's not as fresh in my mind as it was then. But after that, I was a captain I was a mate. I started working for the CEO of Ferretti Group himself. I got noticed in there. They saw how hard I was working. But it's all about learning, showing, not being scared to dive in. And a lot of this materials. There's different materials. These are some of the most high-end materials in the world that are placed on these multi-million-dollar yachts. That you got to be careful with what you're using. And that's something that when you first get into it, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna be able to use household things that you're used to using because they may be too abrasive for the materials. And there's courses on this. You could, my opinion is to learn from someone have a mentor with it and show that you're willing to work hard and never be scared to ask a question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. The dumb question is the one that you didn't ask, because if you use a chemical or something that you're used to and you didn't do a spot test on it somewhere, whether it's the teak wood or the couches, the different materials of the hull, we paint with different type of stuff. There's gel coats. You got to really understand what you're doing. I always had a rule of thumb. The first thing you try is just basic soap and water.
Yes.
And that way, if that doesn't work, then you move on to others, but that usually doesn't hurt anything, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that was always what I started. And then from there, I would learn about, I had a real interest of, there's so many different types of products. And that's what Fort Lauderdale was beautiful for. Down the street called State Road 84 is where all of the shipyards are. And they have, National Marine, let's say, is one of the big companies that has huge warehouses, obviously West Marine. And you go in there and it's like a shopping mall of
Yes.
aisles and
Chandeliers.
aisles of different types of materials, and there's 100 different type of soaps and 30 different type of waxes and 7 different stainless steel cleaners and this and protectors, and
I know, and sailors feel like a kid in the candy store when they walk into these places, and the average person who's not been on a boat or loved a boat and cared for a boat doesn't understand the heart palpitations that can occur when a sailor walks in to a chandlery and it's new and fresh, and there's always new products that come through, and it is like a Costco for sailors.
it is, and it's interesting because it's very very expensive. These products, as soon as they label the word boat on it, it becomes way more expensive, even if it's just basic soap. So as a crew, your ultimate goal, you're protecting someone's asset. You were hired to protect someone's asset, and in that retrospect, you're always trying to save them money where you can. And when if you just go in the store and you look at the most expensive price tag of something, that doesn't always mean it's the best.
Correct.
So that's something you have to learn as you gain the knowledge and experience.
So as you worked your way through the different boats that you did have an opportunity to work on, and you grew your knowledge base from materials and techniques of caring for a yacht, when did you make that transition to actually working on systems like electronic systems or engine systems, and then where does piloting fit into all this? Because most kids, when they're a teenager, did you ever use charts as a teen?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We didn't have charts.
So
It was all local knowledge.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Kids and doing things that maybe were a little on the edge, but luckily
you got home in time for dinner.
We always had our safety gear on there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And we always got home on time, correct?
Yeah. So share with us a little more about how you worked your way up to the next level of knowledge around yachts.
So, I got in and started at the ground level, which was important to me. And I'm a very smart, I learn things very quickly. That's one of my strong points, is learning quickly and asking questions, not overly asking questions, but asking the right questions and then going home and doing more research on my own. I think that's very important to, your mentor. You got to realize that he's busy as well. So go home and ask him for some homework to do, and show that you're very vested in this, meaning you're going to do your own research on paid off time, which was something I did a lot of. So it didn't take me very long I was working in the showroom, bottom level, just cleaning. And then as time went on, they said, I was in a team of cleaners, 10, 15 cleaners, these boats every day. There was a whole boat yard of them of 10, 15 that we were constantly maintaining, brand new boats that they were selling. So on the top level of this place, kind of how it was set up, was the management and the executives on the top that kind of looked down on the entire showroom. And, with me, I never was on my phone in front of any of that. I was always making sure that if I was visible in the showroom, I was making sure that I was working, and cleaning and doing whatever it was, and going the extra step of doing anything I can to be noticed. And that's where the guys up in the top talked to the guy who was managing the team and said, what, I see a lot of potential in this guy. What's his background? Can you bring him upstairs to meet with us? And that's when the doors opened for me. They sat down and they realized my background, and they said, wow, this guy has all this background, and he chose to. I told them about me being passionate, and they said, "Well, are you ready for the next step?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. Now I know what is it. What do you guys think?" And they said, "We're going to start to put you in front of the clients. You're going to go out on sea trials. You're going to become the corporate mate, where you're going to go out with the captain and do sea trials and show the clients the boats and deliver boats to the boat shows." And I said, fantastic. So a few months of that was amazing, maybe even a year of that. And then the top guy at the company came to me and said, "I want you personally to work for me on my boats." I said, fantastic. I was thrilled. So with him, it was amazing because he would have on the top level. I even got the chance to meet Numberto Ferretti, which is the Ferretti founder, and he was on board all the time. Shipbuilders were on board, meeting with this guy, and just being in front of them and showing them my passion was incredible. He had a new boat every other month, and I was learning different systems. Every boat has a different system. No matter if it's the same exact boat and you have two side to side, they're both going to have similar systems, but different. So that to me was a lot of knowledge. And then he ultimately said to me, "Kim, you've reached the point to where you need to move on. You're ready to work for someone privately and really go far in your career where I see you going. Keep in touch." And he passed me on to someone that they recently sold one of the nicest Bertrams they've ever made to. And at the time, Bertram was right up my alley, right? I was a fisherman. So this to me was like going from these tiny little boats to going onto this most incredible Bertram they've ever built with all the best systems. And, it was incredible. So it was a perfect fit. I worked as a mate privately. And then, let's see, I was a mate for many years. You have to, Coast Guard, I don't speak for Coast Guard. I'm not updated on their latest.
But you need certain number of hours to go after your captain's license. So.
Correct. At the time, I believe it was you needed 365. You needed 720 days for the U.S. Coast Guard 100-ton license, and I believe it was around 720 days you needed, and then it had to be on certain size vessels. And some of them had 365 of them had to be past the demarcation line, which is, offshore, not just cruising intercoastal. So I was just hopping boat to boat, learning from different programs. Every program is different with a private owner. And it was an incredible experience working for different captains. And I was into it more longevity. I like to be with a guy I probably was with people for 2 years, 1 or 2 years. I didn't go jumping around a lot.
It takes a while to learn a yacht. I mean, any boat, really. I mean, it's just like a person. It has a personality. It has different features. It has unusual quirks. And it takes time to get to know how that boat works. And you have to work with it, not against it. And people don't realize this sometimes when they haven't worked with boats, that you don't push or force your personality onto the boat. You yield to the boat. Yes, you can make adjustments and things like this, but overall, if that boat likes to, slightly turn to starboard all the time, you have to just work with that.
Yeah, it's true. So, I was a mate for years, and then in 2012, I went to school. I went to a MPT, Maritime Professional Training in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I believe it was a 2-week course. I actually met 2 of the captains that are my best captains that work for me. I've been friends with them ever since that course, and they're actually in my fleet, in my charter fleet. They're captains. They're 2 of my favorite captains, and we met and that's where you learn. The captain's course is very intense. And before the captain's course, something interesting to bring up is STCW. I don't know how familiar you are with that, STCW 95. That's basically, I forget what it stands for. It's basically the basic training course that you take when you're a mate,
Okay.
or a stew, or a basic level, entry level. That's something you're going to want to get before, when you first get in the industry. It's safety. It's all about safety. And in that course, you learn about, firefighting, first aid levels 1 and 2. They even put you one of the days into a pool, and you learn about a life raft, opening it up, getting into it, getting out of it, what's in a life raft. Very important basic knowledge that could save your life, and that's what you get first.
Crash course
Yes,
in
correct.
seamanship.
And a lot of these insurances, and when you go to go on a professional program, especially larger boats, are going to make you have that SCCW 95
as a certification.
As a certification, basic level certification.
Very cool.
And then, captain school was fantastic. I loved it.
Well, yes, I mean, look at it. You could say, oh, going there, I got to find out what I didn't know.
Oh man,
and that is what I always tell kids.
Are intense.
When you take a test, you're not testing to see what you know. You're testing to learn what you don't know, so that you can say, great, I missed that and that and that, and now I know what to focus on, because I didn't get it right. It's fantastic that you know what you know, but it's really more important to know what you don't know.
Correct.
So yeah, I love those types of programs myself, because you go in knowing a certain amount, and then you're really looking for the excess that is just a bonus. So that must have been fun. And could you share with us, because I never really knew the answer to this question, when you document your hours for applying for your captain's license, is it on a trust system, or do you have to have photocopies of log pages from different boats? How does that work?
So there's a form, I don't know the exact form, but I think it's called the Sea Service U.S. Coast Guard form. And they break it down for you, how you have to have the boat's documentation. And it is on a trust system, but in the end of the day, the Coast Guard inputs all of this information into a database. So personally, I would never mess with this is a federal, you'll never get, if you lie on something, you're never and you get caught, you're risking never getting that license ever again in this industry. So you got to be very on point with it. And then either the owner or the master signs off on it, on your hours. So, you got to be to the T with those hours.
So one of the things that Young Navigator Books is really keen on is supporting their readers having integrity and recognizing when we're out of integrity, and looking to be more of a conscious global leader. Because when we recognize that we are, and you brought this up beautifully at the beginning, we are a business. Each individual person is a business, and we have relationships that we manage with ourselves, with each other, and our families, and our friends, and then we have our coworkers and our colleagues and our customers and our clients, and it just spreads. And it's up to us as the leader to manage those relationships as beautifully as we can, by recognizing that we bring fear into our relating. Like, if we fear that we won't get something, we may feel that we have to use excuses or lies or something like that, which is all fear-based problem solving. Whereas if we solve a problem from inside the space of peace or love, we are actually making a long-term commitment to those relationships in the world to do the right thing and have integrity. And I think that one of the reasons why I love this podcast is because we have an opportunity to invite everyone in the maritime industry to raise their consciousness and be more integrous and raise the frequency of the experience out there. Because and I know that the world of yachting, boating, anything you want to call it, when you're out on the water, this is like the last bastion of good humanity, right? If you're in trouble, what happens?
Everyone helps. It's friendly. It's you
Yeah.
can't pick up the phone and call 911. You can if you're in cell phone service, but what if you're not and you're using the radio? And you're right. It takes time for them to get out there. It's not like they're going to be there in 5-10 minutes like you would be when you're on land. So that's why everyone has to be friendly out there and respect each other, obviously, when you're around them. And if someone's in help, in my opinion, you help out. It's it might even be a law if you're within, so and you hear the stress call. I forget, they drill it into your head that you have to assist.
Yeah, it is really truly a remarkable arena. And people who normally would not get along in real life will go help each other.
Right? When every boat, it's something funny when you bring people that aren't used to boating on a boat. You'll go by, especially in Miami, I could speak, and up north in Hamptons and where I operate. Every time you drive by each other, everyone's always waving at each other, even if you know each other or not. It's something why I opened my charter business, which hopefully we'll get into later. But
yeah,
it's something
we will.
that we're giving great experiences. When you're on the water, it's why be unhappy? Why you're not going on the water to have a bad day? You want to go out on the water to enjoy a great day, right? With your friends, your family, your business partners, whoever it is.
Exactly. And part of that is planning, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's leadership involved that has to have foresight to plan the event, even though every day is different.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, you were on a few different yachts that you really enjoyed. Why don't you talk about your favorite one, which I think you said was the 88 SX San Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes that one stand out for you?
With me, with the business, we have a very large range of fleet on the website, the breezomarine.com. We've got 21 boats on there now, and we have a few that we don't even list. But if you go on there, you'll see or Google it, 88 San Lorenzo. I love the line of these San Lorenzos. San Lorenzo is a company that's been around. They make many different style boats, but this specific style is so unique. Especially the one that I have in my fleet is the owner, when building it, designed the whole interior to her liking. She's an interior designer, so she used all the nicest, and it fits my colors too. It's in the bathrooms, all the white and gray marble, tons of little accents everywhere. And the beach club on this boat, if you look at it, it's an 88-foot boat that almost feels like you're on a well over 100-foot boat, layout wise. The fly bridge is huge. The bow is huge. The 4 rooms, guest rooms, and then there's a whole crew room separate, corridors where you have your bathroom and has access room to the engine room, and then the beach club is very, very unique. Something interesting about the industry, not to go too far off topic, but they came out with these engines called IPS engines. Volvo makes them. There's some other companies that make, but Volvo is the forefront runner of them, and they're very small compared to the past, but powerful. And they have a propeller that spins 360 to maneuver the boat. You drive it with a joystick. Very interesting. So it enables this beach club where the engines are under it to where they could have a huge layout. Most of the older classic style of its size, when you have the bigger engines there, you lose the space. So that's what's enabled them to make that beach club. And on the 88, they've put in 3 engines of those. And to me, it's such a beautiful boat, so smooth. The colors are beautiful, and it's one of my favorite, as well as the Vanquish I told you about.
Yeah. So, and just for another question about the San Lorenzo, 4 staterooms or cabins, and then how many crew, including the captain?
So we like to run that boat with 4 crew. We like to run it with a captain. If you look at the pictures, the kitchen of that boat is the focal point of the whole boat. It's in the front towards the bow. every chef, when you reach out to them and you show them the space they'll be working in, says, sign me up immediately, please. They have access to all these huge windows. It's like the best place to cook for them. So we love the chef experience. So captain, chef, stewardess, and a mate. And with that, you get a very high end level of service that could cater. This boat has a lot of water toys on it. So once the boat's anchored, it takes out all of its water toys, which take a good amount of time to blow up and to get out. Some of those sea bobs are heavy. So we like to have 4 crew on that boat.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you for sharing what those opportunities are on board a smaller yacht. Obviously, in the book Shakedown Cruise, it was a 66-meter Benetti that I staged the whole story on.
Nice
And it was based on the new one where the stern quarters flip out and the stern opens up. Yeah.
On the 112 San Lorenzo, we have one of those in the fleet as well. That has a big beach club, and then the doors, like you said, flip down. Very cool.
Creating, yeah, because it does. It's like it's a playground in a box, right?
Yep.
And you unfold the box and you expand that square footage. Incredible. It's phenomenal. Whoever came up with it was brilliant. And is there a formal technical name for that style of wing?
Yeah, we call it. Well, the doors folding down is just. I don't know if there's a technical name for that, but the style of what I've been referring to with the aft very open and large is a beach club. They call that the beach club because you're basically, everyone usually hangs out there and is going in and out of the water, and every couple people are lounging in the sun. It's all exposed. So yeah, we love that.
Have you ever had an opportunity to be the passenger and enjoy being waited on?
Oh yeah, all the time. I love it.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Last weekend, I was out on the 88 San Lorenzo.
Awesome. Okay. So share with us how you created your own business, because again, this is massive. When you have a background in business and you have your captain's license and you put the two together and you combined your love of business and yachting and you created Breezo Marine, and share with us like what that was like for you to take that first step, because I always share that leaders are willing to take that first step with trust and faith, knowing that they are the proof that they choose to create.
Yeah, so this is where it gets fun, and this is where I think you might see my passion really come out.
Okay.
Get ready. So basically, I was a captain on one boat I met an owner that I fell in love with. I'm still very close with him. I actually got a chance to work for his business as well, which taught me, that's a whole story for another day. He let me become involved with the family. We were like a family. He became my mentor. And I wanted to learn about his business on my days off. And I started working for his business. But I was with him for close to 8 years on one boat. And this is something that's very unheard of in the yachting industry, of a captain being a captain on one boat for that long. And it was very unique. The guy fell in love with how I ran the boat. It was clean as a whistle. His family fell in love with it. He used it for business. And for the first 2 years with him, it was just private use. And he could tell that I was getting a little bored. Maybe he was telling, I was getting bored a little bit with just, he wasn't going out a lot as much as I wanted to be out on the water. I was full time with him, so I wasn't going to moonlight and do other jobs without telling him. So I said to him, I've heard about this day charter market in Miami. And at the time we were in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, do you mind if I look into it and research it a little bit to see if I could maybe bring you some money and pay for some of the expenses and make me money as well on the side with gratuity. And getting me out on the water more. That way I would stay with him for, I wouldn't leave. So he said, of course, Kim, go ahead. Let's hear what you got. Did a lot of research, came back to him. And at the time I researched, it's called central agents. So being a central agent in a charter industry, you're representing the boat, just like the listing of a house. When they go to sell it, there's a listing agent. That manages the calendar, books the trips, does all the payments, etc. So I came down to Miami, brought the boat down to Miami. We kept it in Sunset Harbor, which is a stunning marina in South Beach. And within 1 month, I went through 3 different central agents. And wow, you're going to say that's a lot. You went through 3. Yeah, because my business standards and ethics are very high. I didn't know much about it, the industry, so I was relying on them to be honest and transparent and to represent the boat in the right way, right? And bring the right kind of clientele, etc. They were bringing the right kind of clientele. It was fun. It was a lot of celebrities. I was enjoying it, but what I wasn't enjoying is the lack of transparency and business ethics. It was horrible. From a captain's standpoint, some of the things that I was seeing were unethical. I don't know how much you want to get into that, but not really important. I moved on from them, and I said to myself, being a business entrepreneur, which is entrepreneurship is something that I've always been strong about. I said to the owner, I think it's time for us to do this ourselves. There's a lot of legality we have to do bareboat charter. So we had to look up.
Excuse me, will you explain to our listeners what a bareboat is versus a regular charter?
So this is a long story, but I'll do it real quick, and maybe one day we can re-explore it. But bareboat means, what does the word bareboat mean?
It's bare. There's nothing. You have to provision it yourself. You have to captain it yourself. Whereas a charter is captain and crew and chef, all provisioned.
Correct. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. There's a lot more to it, but we were doing that, and I researched the legality behind everything, and we always, of course, want to do everything 100% by the books. So we started. I started representing the boat through someone else that I could control the experience, etc. So we were all legal, and from there it turned into it was incredible. It was an incredible experience because we were able to control all the things that I didn't like in the first month of seeing these other central agents doing what they're doing the wrong way. There's plenty of business for this. Let's do this the right way. Let's make the best experiences. Let's be totally transparent with the client. If it's terrible weather outside, let's give them the option of maybe postponing a few hours, or if it's a washout, postpone, or give them their money back. This is something we're trying to build a good reputation. I don't want to I didn't believe in pouring in money into marketing. I said, let's build this off reputation. And with reputation, that's going to bring a lot of repeat business, and then their friends and their friends.
I call that energetic marketing.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is. Yeah, it energetically flows amongst people, and it's totally quantum level. Go on.
So from there, I only had that boat, and it was turned very, very successful. And at this time, the charter industry was really blowing up. There was all these platforms like Boatsetter, Salo, you could name a bunch of other ones that are popping up to make the renting process more easy and more accessible for people that didn't have the clientele. So I was helping them almost build their businesses because they loved me. I was helping them, giving them feedback on the back ends of what I thought they should do. And in return, they were helping me out with bookings more and more. And everyone started coming to me. The people in the marina that own boats started coming to me and said, "You're out almost every day." I said, "Yes, we are." They said, "Are you chartering? What are you doing? The boat is cleaner than my boat, and I don't even take it out." I said, "This is our process. I am the captain. I'm extremely detail oriented. When the boat, there's a process. We clean the boat before the charter. We do the charter. We clean the boat afterwards. It's always ready to go." And it was impressive to a lot of people. So they started asking me if I would take their boat on, if I had any interest. And then from there, it snowballed into where Breezo Marine is today. Awesome. We opened in 2017. I was doing this well before that, but I opened the business in 2017. And from there on, it's been a wild ride of exactly what I just said. We're all word of mouth reputation. transparent, and we do a lot of white labeling for very large companies that were always scared to work with the Miami brokers.
Can
They don't
you
have the best.
explain white labeling for our listeners?
Yeah, so white labeling is, for instance, like we'll work with companies like Dennison Yachting Group, Burgess, Fraser, all these big companies that don't necessarily specialize in what I specialize with, day charter and term charter. And we operate now in Miami, Hamptons in the summer, and then Bahamas. And we're opening up in possibly in Marina del Rey in California. But white labeling is basically, I represent the boat for the central agent. I have it on all the broker related sites that are just broker only. So they're able to look us up when they have a client that they bring to the table. Breezo is on the back end of it. They don't even, their client doesn't even know who Breezo is, but we're just the representative, and everything is ran through their company. And we treat every client the same, whether it's me bringing my own client to the table, or if one of these other brokerages bring them to the table, we're always treating them the same. And we have a CRM program. This is very, very important in this industry. I think this is huge.
Client relationship management system.
Yes, and knowing that when someone brings a client to the table, those clients are very important to them. So being a good business ethical business and broker, you can't steal people's clients. Correct. You got to always make sure they go through them again. It's important. And that's what a CRM, we're very, very strong with that, which is why these larger companies will trust us with their best clients. In my opinion, I think I have, definitely in Miami, I have the best fleet. And throughout the US, I think we might have the nicest fleet of the newest. We focus on brand new boats. We do have older boats in the fleet, but they're all very unique. And they're all consistent, meaning they have good crews. They're very clean boats with very good experiences.
Amazing.
So that's what white labeling is.
Okay, so thank you for explaining that. The Vanquish, the 58 Vanquish, that was another one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, so I fell in love as a captain. If you look up Vanquish, it's a very interesting style boat, very modern. They're handcrafted out of aluminum, which is very unique.
Lightweight, metal.
Exactly, very strong. And I fell in love with this company a few years ago when I met the CEO. His name is Tom. I fell in love with it because they were built, from a captain standpoint, they're built very, very well. All the systems are, even on these smaller boats, they use mega yacht systems. The hydraulics, everything is very, very strong. I fell in love with the company, and I ended up selling a lot for them. And one of my owners in the fleet that had another style boat, I said to him, let's buy this 58 Vanquish that just came up to the market. These are never available. COVID happened, and the original buyer was in London, and he couldn't take on the boat. So we bought the boat and brought it to Miami, and just the layout of this boat is phenomenal. It's a head turner. We call it a head turner. Everyone, when that boat goes by, turns their head and follows it. It's really funny. And we run this boat with 3 crew, a 58-foot boat. We run with 3 crew. It's a very high-end experience. The boat is very expensive to charter for the day. And the boat's doing 16 to 20 days a month on a constant basis, has the best reputation. One of the captains I told you about that I met in captain school runs the boat. And
fantastic.
Loves it.
Fantastic.
So I became and then I became a couple years ago. I became the charter representative for Vanquish, exclusive for Vanquish for the U.S., which is meant the world to me. And I'm very, very happy. If you go on the Vanquish website, you go to Charter Miami or Charter Hamptons. That's my information. It's a beautiful thing. I'm very happy about it.
That's awesome. Now, I did read that you spent 7 years on a Sea Ray. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's the boat I was telling you about with the owner. He, in my opinion, he's the one who helped me turn into where I am today. Without his boat, and without him letting me grow and do charter, with his boat, I made him good money, and we kept doing. It made him never sell the boat. He still has the boat to this day.
I love it.
My fleet still. So it's a beautiful thing. The boat's a 2008, but it looks brand new.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so that's exciting to still have. I love that boat. There was something about that boat that I think it's one of the best day boats. The setup of it is just, for a 60-foot boat, it's incredible. I mean, we would even fish on the boat. Being a fisherman,
yes,
I made it into like a trolling machine. Trolling, when you drag lines. The owner fell in love with going out in the mornings. He's a businessman, and he said that when he's on that boat, he could tune the world out, and it's the most relaxed he's ever been is when he's on that boat. He could make the best business decisions without any static thoughts.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with going fishing. We would wake up at 5 a.m, and as the sun is rising, we have our lines out, and we were catching more fish than sport fish were. Yeah. And then we'd go back and we'd eat the fish. We'd have the chef cook them up, and it was great. I love it.
That's a great lifestyle. There is something to science has done these studies where they know that if you're able to take in with your eyes large expanses of blue, it has a profound effect on the brain.
Wow.
And they found that people who are able to spend time on the water with, big, distances of horizon lines, they actually have like better health, mental health. It's very profound on the brain. So they say, spend time looking up at the sky. And I do that anyways. But, it is an amazing environment to spend time in. Look, you brought up a couple things that I want to go into, which is knowing your human resources out there on the water. You have captains that you can trust. I'm pretty sure you have crew you can trust and chefs that you like to work with. How do most yachts assemble their captain and crew? Is it the owners that choose who comes on board? I'm sure they have some say in it, but if it's primarily a charter, then is it the captain's job? How does this all work out? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
The charter world is kind of hard to explain, so let's focus on private boats.
Okay.
Private boats, it's their vessel. In the end of the day, there's different types of owners. There's young owners, there's old owners, there's all different age owners, and they all have different lifestyles. And they, something about being a crew that I say is the hardest thing about being a crew, especially on the charter side, is or private, is when the clients are on board and you're trying to give service to them. You gotta know when the time is to sit down and talk with them, or leave them alone. In the end of the day, you got to be able to read that based off their what would you call that? The way that they're, without even telling you it, just gauging it how they want. Because in the end of the day, you're there to work, and they're there to do whatever they want, whether they're taking their friends out for the day or they're on a business meeting. You need to cater to their needs for service. And, that's one of the hardest things, in my opinion, being a captain or a stewardess or a mate or a chef, is knowing when to go to them. My rule of thumb is if they're drinking a drink, watch the drink. And when it gets down to the bottom, you go and ask them if they want another drink. You don't continue to go up to them, and it may bother them, to keep asking.
Yeah. So intrusive service is not recommended. Yeah. It almost sounds like you need a minor degree in psychology, or to take one of those FBI courses in reading, the subtler body language things so that you can interpret what's going on. But I think that people in the hospitality industry are naturally there because they have this innate ability with their intuition, their inner guidance, and their data that they've accessed about humans in general. I think they read people very well. And I think they genuinely like to be in that capacity of serving, to create an experience.
Yeah, it's something you'll definitely learn. This industry is going to teach you a lot about a lot. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion. And one of the best things about this industry and why I chose to go in it is because you're working, whether, look, not everyone has to work for the wealthy, right? You could get on boats that, if that's not your style or that's not what you want, you could go on to sailboats. Like there's many different types of levels. But for me, it was that I could get in front of top 1% people in the world. And by doing that, these guys have, they could turn into your mentors, or they could, you work hard for them and you show your true colors. This could open up many doors for you. And to me, that's what it's done for me. I have a couple of partners that in my wildest dreams when I was young, this was my dream. And my passion, remember, passion brought me to where my dream is. I had to take less money in the beginning, right? And working with a toothbrush, you don't make a lot of money, okay? Right. But my qualifications were way higher than that in the business world. But I decided to take the toothbrush, take the low salary for a couple months. And then from there on, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and the doors have widened open. And now I'm partners with some of the top 1% in the world that have a lot of pull. I love it. That's why I love this industry.
So Kim, tell us, what is next for you? And we're not asking for your secret business plan here, but you're 5 years in your own business. It sounds like 5 years. And you just came through COVID, which amazing. You're still thriving and doing what you love. And the world has changed, hasn't it? So how do you see the future right now? Because I can tell you're quite visionary, but you're also an amazing functional leader, which can take that vision and bring down and start working on the detail level. You've got both of those going very strong for you. So where are you going next? What do you see?
This is the question I ask myself every day. I continue to ask myself this every day. Now, to answer this question, it's about my passion, right? I was passionate about being an entrepreneur, being a captain. It mixed me into create Breezo Marine. Breezo Marine, when I started it, was something that we started with focusing on specializing in charter management. And now we have an office in a prime location on the Miami River. I'm working with developers that I get to manage. I'm their marine component for Miami, and he builds high rises. It's beautiful. The hardest part for my business, until a year ago, it was just me running every aspect of the business. And today it's a team of 5. And they're still learning. We're a company that we do, in April, I'm very excited because I get to open up my brokerage section of the company, which you had to be under someone for a couple of years before you could open one yourself. So I'm at the stage now to where I'll open up my brokerage in where I'll sell boats.
Congratulations.
But I sell them through, I have my sales license under a different company. Yeah. So the hardest part for me has been employees, right? This is, I think, in every business is the hardest part of the puzzle. And it's something that I've told myself I am going to devote 24/7, 7 days a week. And if you ask the people who know me, I literally work 24/7, 7 days a week. In the charter world, I get phone calls at 2 a.m. 3 and I answer them. If I hear it, I answer them. And that's what gets me a lot of business, right? As long as it's unsafe or illegal, we'll do it. We'll figure a way out to do it. Before we just got off the phone, one of the clients is out on the 88 San Lorenzo, high-end client, and he wanted caviar. So guess what we did? And they had it nowhere else. We found the caviar and he now has it. I just got the text. I was looking over.
Fantastic.
Nothing we can't do. But
right.
without that, I need a team. I don't want to do this myself. Breezo, I envision being a company, a very large company that's doing things ethically and everything I've mentioned before, and it's going to thrive. Sticking to those core values and never diverting from those core values is my glue, and that will never change. And if I will never take on more business, I could take on way more business, but I'm not there yet. And knowing that and not going too fast until I have the right team in place is integral to this business. And that's where I'm going to tell you in the next 5 years, I'm still going to devote myself 24/7 to this business and build it to what I need to be. And I hope in 5 years from now, I have a whole team running this company, which is going to allow me to focus on now what I'm passionate about. It's go finding new business with, go finding the new big deals. You know, this past year we did a huge charter with Louis Vuitton for Art Basel. It was 42 boats. I mean, the maritime attorney told me there was a 3% chance of getting this done in time. And we all put our brains together and worked so hard and got it done.
Fantastic.
So to me, I love, and right now I'm dealing with too much everyday stuff to be able to go out and find these big deals and find the next avenue to where Breezo is going to go. But I hope in 5 years from now, that's all going to be running smoothly.
I have a feeling it will.
Yeah, I know it will. I'm not going to stop until it does, I promise you.
Right. And see, that is like where I like to share with people, you are the proof that you chose to create. You are willing to take that step and you navigate from, you know, as I share, we all start in here navigating, and we start with a thought and we put it inside what we call the precipice of creation, that space of neutrality.
Yes.
And then from there, we begin to create the expression of that in the world. So I know you steer your ship really, really, really well.
And so I'm always learning every day.
Yes.
You know, the guy who tells you that they know everything, stay away from him.
Right. Because everything changes in this world. I mean, you know, if you look at a boat and you look at the environment it's in, it's changing minute by minute. It is being degraded. Yes. And so, you know, when we look at, you know, chemical interactions, like you started to share with us earlier, all those products on the boat, I mean, everything is dynamic in this industry, and it changes. It changes like the weather. We change, people change. I think that, you know, my brief experience into the yachting world many decades ago, I saw how, you know, it was a lot of turnover with yachts and crew because some of the crew couldn't get along. And all of that comes down to is people haven't learned to find integrity inside themselves and bring it to their job and bring it to every relationship inside that job, which is why we have to get really clear with our thoughts about who we are and where we want to go. And it, you know, by all accounts, you are clearly doing that, Kim. And it was such a pleasure to have you here today. And I'm so thankful and gracious for your time and your energy and your history and how you're bringing integrity into this industry. It's really terrific to hear, and keep doing that because you are really, truly in your giftedness. And I want every listener here today to go back and reflect on what is your passion and where do you want to go? Because you have the opportunity to be the captain of your life. So, Kim, if we have an opportunity in the future to have you back, gosh, I would sure love to have you here, and we'll talk again soon.
I would love that. Thank you again for having me today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye, everyone.